Joe Gatto is innocent. You're probably wondering why I'm just outright saying that, not adding any details to this. Don't worry, I'll get into that. But I just want to say something before, all the people come in like, what are you talking about? So, if you have not heard, Joe Gatto was under some serious fire for an allegation of some sexual assault. I don't know the technical term for it, but we're just going to use sexual assault of a person who came out on TikTok and essentially shared her experience with Joe Gatto. And I just want to say that before we go ahead and label anybody as, a creep, as a predator, or they've done this, they've done that, I understand we want to make anybody that is the victim, comfortable to come out and say what has happened to them or their experience of a situation. Completely understand that. But on the other side, the person that is being blamed for said crime, one should be able to have the opportunity to defend themselves, but also have the opportunity not to be automatically labeled as the crime they're committing. Everybody was outright believing her. Now, again, I understand we need to make people feel comfortable about coming out about their experiences. But at the same time, what about Joe Gatto in this instant? As soon as this came out of, let's say 100% of people, 25% of people actually believed what she said and just ran with it. There was almost no proof. There was nothing. What she came out and said was basically like, hey, I was like messaging Joe Gatto, we were going back and forth. They were not going back and forth. Clearly, Joe Gatto multiple times was also clearly trying to end the conversation. She was just kind of egg on, sending 4, 5, even 6 messages before he even writes one out. Clearly, just you're trying to get something out of it. You're trying to get something out of him, whether a response, whatever it might be. She even says in one of her videos that, hey, maybe I can get some free tickets, as he's a celebrity. And what does he do?
So I had messaged, said, sir, because he had liked my Instagram story and whatnot. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get some free tickets because I don't know. I've never met a celebrity before. This is literally the first celebrity I've ever met in my life.
He gave him backstage passes. There was people there as well. But she also tried to paint it like, oh, I was the only one there. I was special. There was multiple people there. There's literally videos out there that show there's many people there. You're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. But also, she made multiple TikToks basically saying, I've been talking about this for months or years, whatever it was. You guys are just hopping on the bandwagon right now. So I was like, let me see if there's some validity to that. So I scrolled on her page and scrolled. There was nothing. I literally went back a year and there was nothing. Literally nothing. If there's something beyond that, then shit, I'm sorry I stopped after a year. But there was literally nothing. It's just random posts. So that's just false. If you also look at the conversations, she's basically saying oh, he's being a creep, he was doing this. And I mean, maybe there's a couple texts that are just kind of weird. But again, also, I understand he's an older guy, but you are technically a consenting adult. This is 2 consenting adults. Whether the age gap is weird or not, you were coming on to him. It's giving attention. You want attention. And now people might not like that because they're going to be like, what about the TikTok of her showing off the mark on her ass? So she posted a photo of her ass with a bruise on it. And it low-key looks like a hand, whatever. If you don't agree, that's fine. That's up to interpretation. But it does low-key look like a hand. She's saying that Joe Gatto, and I quote, bit her on her ass to the point where it made this fucking bruise. I'm sorry. What? Number 1, there would be bite marks on your ass if this was true. Number 2, there would be saliva left on your ass. Obviously, you might have wiped it off or whatever. You took a shower. There's some residue of Joe Gatto. Go to the police. Say, hey, this happened to me. It was with Joe Gatto. I have proof. I literally have his DNA that was left on me. There you go. Boom. Instead, she chose to go and make this public and basically be oh, don't trust your heroes. Don't trust celebrities because they're this, da-da-da-da. There's one thing about spreading awareness and there's another thing about jumping on, bandwagon train, essentially, about getting publicity. If for all the people that are well, we need to make sure that she feels comfortable coming out and, we got to believe the victim. In some cases, that is very well true. In this instance, it's not. Because, again, if this were true, why didn't she go to the police first, then made a TikTok about it? I don't know. But then the quote-unquote proof that she was bringing out and showing us, there wasn't any. She said that a lot of the conversation happened in vanish mode on Instagram, and that she somehow managed to get a screenshot of Joe saying, like, yeah, come up to my apartment or wherever it is, wherever they're fucking meeting up. Mind you, she was drunk. She was not of the legal drinking age. I think she was like 19 or 20, anywhere from 18 to 20. I don't remember, but she definitely wasn't 21. And she was like, again, messaging Joe, like, and somehow it turned into her being invited to go to Joe's place of residence, wherever it might be, at the time of him on tour. And there was some pictures that she provided of her in the elevator, and her basically like geeking out, like, oh my god, this is really cool. And then and basically she just kind of was like, yep, it went sideways and I don't like it, and I'm gonna come out and talk about it, which is perfectly fine. But as someone who went through something very traumatic and very life-changing, again, I understand people might respond in different ways, but she seemed like very calm, like very giddy and laughy about the entire situation. From my experience and seeing a lot of people in traumatic experiences or have gone through traumatic experiences, they're usually not giddy. Again, I know other people handle situations differently and stuff like that. It felt like it was very nonchalant. Like, oh, yep, this happened. It is what it is. Don't trust your celebrities. It is what it is. What the fuck do you mean? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. When I first watched the TikTok, I was literally sitting there with my girlfriend, and we looked at each other like, yeah, I ain't buying this. And then she came out with more TikToks, and we watched them. And again, I did this very thoroughly, and I went through all the evidence that I could find that she provided and that I could find on the internet. I ain't buying it, Chief. Like, I'm not. I'm really not. And it's come to the point where Joe Gatto canceled his tour and then checked in to a treatment facility. Now, some people are going to be like, well, that's an admission of guilt. How is him checking into a treatment facility a mission of guilt? Who knows what death threats, what texts this man could have been receiving to the point where it drove him insane or drove him to the point of possibly wanting to hurt himself. Now, she was saying that, at the time of this whole thing, he got back with his wife, he has kids. Isn't this motherfucker like 60? So some of his kids are on the younger side, which it is what it is. But like, I was over here thinking, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was over here thinking this dude has like 20-year-old kids. They ain't gonna give a fuck. He does have a wife and kids. That's a separate matter. Okay, if that was the case, then he cheated. That's a separate matter. To the sexual assault allegation, again, I just don't buy it. I really just don't. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Again, we provided a whole bunch of stuff on your screen, and let me formulate your own opinions in the comment section below. And I really want to hear what you guys have to say. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to try and record some more because I'm kind of slacking a little bit. I'm sorry. But yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay. Don't do drugs. Okay. Bye.